So we've heard a lot about gains from the UK to Ethiopia to Kenya, but there are some countries that are falling behind. There was a question about Bangladesh and how production has dropped from 1.9 million tons in 1998 to less than 1.3 million the last couple of years. What steps can be taken to help improve the condition in other countries like Bangladesh?
Who wants to comment on that one?
I think Hans probably can address the question of genetics and access to varieties there, and probably I can supplement with what's really other elements that are impacting it.
Yeah. On Bangladesh, well, I mean, there has been a shift in the acreage, but Bangladesh is still a very vibrant program. Bangladesh was unfortunately hit 4 years ago by the introduction of a new weed disease called wheat blast, which was so far only present in Latin America. It was introduced and it caused immediately some severe losses. But again, Bangladesh was also a key example of what international collaboration and international germplasm can achieve. At CIMMYT, I mean, I have pushed that material would be tested in Latin America for the last 10 years. And when wheat blast arrived in Bangladesh, we knew immediately which of the lines which performed well in Bangladesh also were resistant to wheat blast in Bolivia, where we tested. And that allowed us within 1 year, together with the Bangladeshi researchers, to identify a line and release it and multiply. That had not been possible if there would not be open germplasm sharing and international nursery systems. Maybe Vijay, you can comment a little bit more on Bangladesh. Bangladesh, of course, is confronted. It's one of the biggest wheat importers in the moment in the world, with close to 7 million tons. And so the question is, how much more wheat can Bangladesh produce? The main crop is rice. And there come in political issues also, when the government says, should we produce wheat or should we import all the wheat and use the area for other crops? So these are becoming very political decisions, because currently wheat production is economic in Bangladesh. And in the last years, the acreage has gone up a little bit again. But maybe Vijay, you can comment more.
Absolutely, Hans. I think the wheat is competitively placed with the rice and maize now in Bangladesh. But I do agree that, yes, the challenges they had on account of blast and, the competitive factors of other crops did bring the acreage down, but we see it restoring now. I do see a serious challenge still on the seed systems. The South Asia, they had, one that's really hampered with low production of seed and low seed replacement ratio today. In some way, I think now I see private sector coming in to take more interest in delivery of seeds and multiplication to complement what's happening in the public system. So hopefully the next 3 to 4 years, they should be able to do much better in terms of quality seeds they can provide. That's one of the reasons why any new variety introduced, which is more specifically blast-resistant varieties, seed bulking has taken them longer time, as compared to neighboring countries there. So I think that's one impediment probably they need to address. I think they're looking at it today seriously.
Thanks for that. Matt, is there any other major topic that came through during the chat that we should touch bases on?
Well, one question that came up has to do with his response in the video from the Ethiopian farmer who mentioned that there's a dependence on fertilizers and pesticides. And they were asking, how can the dependency be addressed in the future? How can we help safeguard against yield and rust damage while keeping in mind the inputs that go into it?
Dr. Bedada, do you want to comment? You please mute yourself.
I noted that That is true. We use fertilizers, pesticides. This is everywhere, even in the developed world. But what DRRW, DGGW is doing is to develop rest-resistant varieties, durable ones. And the ones we have, like Danda, Kakaba, and others, even if we spray maybe once or twice if there is high rest pressure, because these varieties, even though we see some rest on them, they are durable, partially resistant. So farmers appreciate this, and we, as much as possible, try to use modern breeding to develop varieties that farmers like. Farmers usually don't want to spray, but unless they are forced. So with the durable varieties, they are more happy, and we should continue such efforts. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Dr. Bedada. And you're right, that's exactly where we are, our goal is to produce varieties that are more resistant, not only to one or a few races of stem rust or yellow rust, but a broad resistant, and not only to one disease, multiple diseases. We know that breeders, disease resistant is only one of the traits that they need to look at when we talk about rust. It's just one of many diseases that they need to protect their varieties from. And we, I think it was mentioned earlier that we need to take a more holistic approach, that it's not just about breeding. Breeding is that a strong foundation for increasing yield production, because we're looking at the best of the genetic traits that are in different plants, bringing it together into better and better varieties. But we need to incorporate a lot more knowledge from agronomics. We need to look at conservation agriculture, how we're going to intensify agricultural production while protecting the environment. So all of that needs to be looked together and as a package. So when we can deliver better varieties that are not going to be highly dependent on inputs, but at the same time, we know that our goal is to be able to feed the world in a way that it's manageable for the environment. I don't know if somebody else wants to comment on this. I know it's a major topic and major concern.
Yeah, I would be happy to just make a few comments on that, and that is that we mustn't lump all inputs as nasty. There are some inputs which are benign and which can add value to the grower. They can give him, the one thing the grower doesn't want is to have a crop this year and nothing next year. So you're absolutely right. It's about sustainable production, consistent production. And there are some very low-cost technologies that are available to growers, and we should be encouraging those to be incorporated as and when they're necessary. But I think too, it's unfortunate that all so-called pesticides are lumped together. There are some things such as insecticides, which are often quite toxic and can be very challenging. But there are things such as fungicides, which are often very benign, which can add value. Now, I'm not suggesting that we move towards intensive production, absolutely not. Some of the most enjoyable talks I've listened to are those produced by the organic sector, because they bring another dimension to what we're talking about. You can learn such a lot. It doesn't mean that we have to go down that route absolutely, but it's bringing together a range of technologies to get to maximize the output. But the other thing that we need to recognize and reflect upon is not just about grain yield. We mustn't get obsessed with that, but the quality of that grain. Mitigating mycotoxins. We see people drinking dirty water. We don't want people eating dirty grain. So some of the things may be necessary. And again, it's taking a balanced view, just as you said, a sustainable and a more holistic view. But let's not drag ourselves down or drag growers down from maximizing the opportunity that food production can give them by putting everything together, which is sprayed on a crop, as being unpleasant. There are some nutrients which are really an opportunity to improve production, those sorts of things. So that's my comment.
But Bill, you bring something really important that is not only about yield. And Chhavi worked in collaboration with CIMMYT for her PhD project, and it was involving nutritional values. That's what we're not talking about just more wheat or more grain or more productivity. We're also talking about better nutrition. So Chhavi and Hans, if you can comment a little bit about the nutritional aspects in the breeding programs, and how are we delivering better wheat to the growers in terms of nutrition?
Hans, you continue, then I will speak.
Okay, Chhavi, you have a go, and then I come in.
First I will talk about like Indian aspects. Like we have to do some survey what kind of malnutrition problem is going on. For example, in India, iron and zinc is most important, even globally. So we can work to incorporate that content in wheat, and then target breeding programs. And other is what kind of stress is going on region wise. For example, when I was working, there was heat stress is going on in that region, and then I'm shifted in central region. So here not too much heat. So we have to work on other stress also to incorporate that. And I think in breeding prospects, and then soil condition and other stuff is also going on. Then we have to think about this. Hans.
Yeah. From CIMMYT point of view, we had for the last 10 years worked with Harvest Plus on increasing the zinc content in grain. And I also have mentioned that CIMMYT-derived germplasm is grown on a very high percentage of the wheat acreages in the developing world. And that's why two funding organizations, Gates and DFID, have talked with CIMMYT, and we agreed that we would make zinc a mainstream trait in our germplasm over the next 10 years. And that is an incredible commitment because we need to breed now increased zinc content into all our elite lines. And in 10 years from now on, basically all the elite lines you will get from CIMMYT will have zinc grain content, which is about 25% higher than what is in currently cultivated varieties. So that is a real challenge because we need to close the yield gap to our normal material. And at the same time, we need to increase the zinc content. But it was identified as one of the biggest areas we can make an impact on the health of, well, more than 1 billion poor wheat consumers. So the challenge is big, but we will deliver. We have to deliver.
I think we should more work on yield and quality content correlation. And this, this is my opinion. You can make more clear quality and yield content correlation.
You ask me.
Yeah, we can we can do more conversation on this.
Yep.
Thanks for that. So I think it's 11:48 right now, and so we have gone a little bit over time. We still have many participants, but I really want to thank all of you that joined us today again and that participated in the discussion on the chat. We will review the chat, and we will follow up in different ways. And remember, this is just the second of multiple events. So please come back. We will have answer to some of your questions during the technical session too. So please continue to follow us up and bring your ideas for to discussion. We're here to listen and to help and to continue to build this coalition of great scientists that are to a big task, that is to, you know, increase food security one wheat field at a time. So thanks so much and take care.